Hey guys, this is Bill Combs.
And Jeff Newton.
And this is the Flashbang Creative Podcast. All right, everybody, we are back. And I'm going to lead out on this episode with a really good email that we got coming in early on after our last podcast dropped. Somebody said they really loved the idea of the workshops, and they saw that could, be of value to creating their, finger quotes here, their tribe. And, they wanted to know what other ideas we had for different workshops that they could, host. And of course, because you're doing it for free or potentially free, it can't be something expensive. Like, you're not going to be able to haul in a junk car and shoot out of it. That's gonna be stupid. But what I would do is I would lead with something easy, like something we suggested the other day, and then I would hand out a note card or something and ask everybody in the crowd, that comes for 3 or 5 or however many ideas they can come up with some other little workshop related ideas that they would like to see, because these are your people, these are your tribe, or this is your tribe. So their idea or their input matters. So, reach out to them, tell them, hey, I want to know, what do you guys want to hear? I'll do it for you. I'll write the curriculum, I'll schedule a date, schedule a location, and we'll come out and we'll meet and we'll address this topic. And so that is how I would come up with my own ideas. What I say, it doesn't matter, because I don't know what you're doing in your training. I don't know what your expertise is. What really matters is your base, what your people want to hear. So ask them. That's what I would do.
Excellent. So we had a handful of ideas that have come to us over conversations that we had in the last week or so, and then also some things that we had jotted down that we did not get to in the last episode as well, because we always find ourselves up against that time window. And maybe we'll just go long and not care, but we do like to keep these to a nice consumable length. But at any rate, today's episode is going to be on hacking. Creative inspiration from things that are already working in the marketplace. And I'm going to start off with a massive disclaimer. I might just sit here and repeat it a couple of times, but we are not and do not advocate stealing, plagiarism, copying, blatant targeting, or anything else. So do not misconstrue what we're going to say in this episode. But, listen very carefully to what we are advocating and find a way that has it work for you too. So when we talk about hacking, what we're essentially talking about is actually looking at a model that is currently working and dissecting it and understanding what it is about that model that's making it successful. So, for example, I'm going to go back to one of the examples we had in the last episode where we were talking about the how-to videos and sourcing information or credibility from somebody else, meaning YouTube. So for those workshops and the how-tos for the content creation, let's just talk through that example overall, and we'll just stick with YouTube for now too. So hacking. Take out a piece of paper. If you're driving, then just remember to come back to the episode. But essentially what I want you to do is come up with the top 3 competitors directly in your area first. Let's start with that. And then again, it doesn't matter if you're an instructor or a dealer or anything. Just who are your top 3 competitors? Who do your customers also look at when they're comparing you or shopping against you? And once you have that list, then this is where you're going to apply these actions to. First and foremost, go figure out where they are in the consumer marketplace, meaning, do they have social media? If so, which platforms are they on? Or platform, are they only on one, or are they on all of them? If they're on all of them, how active are their pages? How many likes and how many followers do they have? What's the engagement? When's the last time they posted?
How often do they post?
What time of day do they post? Which posts have the most activity, interaction. If you look at it and you see it's a post that 1,000 people have seen, 500 have liked, and 58 have commented on, when was that one posted at versus the other content that wasn't?
To that point, take in note with ones that have the largest amount of views or interaction. It's not necessarily about the content or the discussion or the topic. It's also about the time. So like Jeff just said before I interrupted him, take note of the time so you can find out when are people in your area most likely to see what you're putting out there, so it doesn't get drowned out in their social media feed.
Right. Because the biggest piece of all of this is, even though they're your direct competitor or indirect competitor, that just means that their consumer is your consumer. So what's working for them should work for you, but more importantly, you should be able to take what's working for them and twist it to be, more valuable and different based off of your world experience and your history, and the value that you bring, and recreating it and do so. So again, to get more tactical with it, let's just talk about a YouTube channel, for example. Now, if you look for those three competitors and they don't have a YouTube channel, then don't think of that as YouTube is not a place for you to be, because that's probably dead wrong, especially in today's world right now. As we're creating this episode, YouTube is the second largest search engine on the internet. So in other words, people are going to Google when they need to Google information, and they're going to YouTube when they want to know something about something, especially the how-to stuff, because of the way that the content is consumed. So if they're not on YouTube, perfect time for you to get on YouTube. And we actually will have some how-to documents posted on our website that you can go to that'll walk you through how to create a YouTube channel, get everything set up, and publish your first video as well, just as kind of a deliverable to help you guys navigate that process. Not that it's difficult, it's just it can seem tedious if you don't necessarily know what you're doing or you're unfamiliar with it. But at any rate, back to the hacking piece. So let's call it, let's just say that our competitor is Acme Firearms. So I'm going to go to YouTube, I'm going to Google Acme Firearms, going to find their channel, and then I'm going to click on their channel name, and I'm going to look at all their videos. And then I'm going to use this fun feature called sort, and I'm going to sort their content based off of most viewed. Now, why would I want to look at their most viewed content, Bill?
Well, because that's what most people are searching for. That's the topic that is engaged the most. And so I would start looking through that to find out what they're covering, what's working basically. And then don't just watch the video, check out the comments if they have it enabled and see what people are saying about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other piece is, there's so much information out there right now. You just have to be very intentional and very aware of where to look and why you're looking at things that matter, like number of views. Again, if there's two videos with the exact same title and one has 1 million views and one has 1 view, there could be a reason.
Yeah, and have a critical eye too. Look, pay attention to detail. Look at sorry, I wasn't up on my mic. Pay attention to props they're using, the way that they're presenting the information. You can learn a lot from watching other instructors. They might be a leader in your area or on YouTube for a reason, because they're a very good instructor. Yeah. And one thing about being a good instructor is it can be learned.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other component of that is, after you see kind of the content and stuff, the themes, the things that are working for consumers in your area, because let's face it, as an instructor, you're kind of geographically locked to the areas that you serve. But then you can also look at the folks that perhaps you would never consider emulating, the big influencers, the big names on media and social media channels, and become a student of their game as well. What are they doing when they have viral videos that go out to 5 million people? What were their camera angles like? Did they have the microphone? Was it a multi-shot? Or, just really basic stuff, but pay attention to less per se the content and more about the subconscious cues that they use that for whatever reason is making their content that much more popular than, other people's content.
Yeah. And, there's lots of big leaders out there. Not all of them have to be high quality production, as far as beautiful lighting and background music and everything like that. Jeff, can I talk about specific people with in a good way without getting in trouble? Okay.
Maybe.
Jeff's my legal counsel.
I'll just edit it out if I have to.
For example, a lot of people know about Military Arms channel. That dude is awesome. Love him. He doesn't have huge, high quality production value. He's just got a camera. It's just him out there doing his thing, and he has an amazing following, and this is how he makes his money. He makes his money off of his YouTube channel. And then, of course, since then, he started his own firearms business as well. But he makes a lot of money off of YouTube. And then if you take someone else like Colion Noir, I always butcher his name, but that dude has changed the game as far as production quality. I mean, that guy is, it's like a cinematic masterpiece, every video he makes. I mean, there's music, there's lighting, there's, he fades it in and out perfect. I mean, if you don't watch him, follow him, you should, because he puts on some amazing stuff. And what my point is they're polar opposites, not necessarily on topic, but on how they present it. And they both still have an enormous amount of following. And so you don't have to be, a director, a producer, to make a great video. You just have to inform people.
Yeah, the best part about any of this is that there is literally zero barrier to entry, because you probably already have 95% of what you need to do any of this stuff in your pocket or sitting on the desk right now or plugged in your console in your mobile phone. So your mobile phone has what? It has the ability to connect to the internet. It can talk to social media, and it has this thing called a camera built into it with a microphone. And, you may have already thought about getting into this game, but for whatever reason, you're nervous, concerned, worried, self-conscious, not all that excited about jumping in front of a camera or, putting yourself out there in digital media. But you got to get over that regardless. And the only way to get over that is to start doing it. And by starting to do it, you'll eventually find your voice and find your story and find your message, and it'll become easy, and it will resonate with people. God, where was I going to go with that, Bill? Took myself on the wrong tangent.
Well, you can cross over to other platforms also. So you not only have the ability to hack your local competition, and by doing that, you can just go to their website and see what kind of courses they're offering. That'll
look
give you
at their calendar and see which ones they're offering weekly, which means there's a demand.
Exactly. Obviously, if they're hosting one course more than others, it's usually because either it's making them the most money, or it's having the most people come to the course, or just materials. It's easier to source. So you have to look at it that way. I mean, not everybody can bring in, I used the example earlier, you can't always bring in a car and shoot out of a vehicle so that people learn how to shoot in and around a vehicle. So, those can't be happening every week for most people. But pay attention to what courses they're offering. And then you can cross over to Facebook, and there's a little search feature there as well, where you could type in up in the search bar concealed carry and hit the enter button and just look at what's coming up in the feed, and start doing some recon, check out what other people are doing. And just like YouTube, you can start cherry picking what must obviously be working for these people to gain such influence, and start adapting these practices or concepts into your own.
Yeah, I've just got to hit that point home again, because I don't want you guys to lose the massive gold nuggets that we sort of just trickle out there almost conversationally, and have you miss how profound they are. So I'm going to walk you through just a tad. I think I've even said it in previous episodes, is, what business is Google in? Google is in the content delivery business, meaning when anyone goes to the internet and wants the answer to a question or wants to find something, they go to this website called google.com. And when they do that, they type in a phrase, a keyword, a term, a company, a something that happens to relate to what they want information on. And Google's livelihood with regards to being a search engine is 100% based on serving them the content that best fits the search result or the search criteria. So that's why, getting to page 1 Google is so important, because no one looks at page 2. But, not about the importance piece, but go use their technology, use their resources, use their history to do your research. Go type in your competitor or your class or whatever, the keyword topics that don't skew the results. For example, maybe it isn't concealed carry. Maybe it's just plain firearms training, or maybe it's gun training, or maybe it's firearms safety. What are some of the dance around keywords that are indirectly associated with you and what you do and what your competitors do? And then go see what Google presents on the first and second pages as search results. Because the reason that they are in the spot that they're on in the search results is because the content that it brought back was that close to being accurate, so to speak.
Yeah, here's a fun fact. Google only displays roughly 4% of what's on the internet. That really doesn't pertain to anything we're talking about, but it's just interesting.
Yeah.
Google's not the end-all, be-all of the internet.
Right. Yeah, and a good point to that is go play with a couple of the other search engines, because their algorithms are different. So what they're going to show you and why they're going to show it to you is completely different. Yeah, you might end up with the same top 1 result that you see on Bing that you would see on Google, but if you go through a couple of the pages, get off page 1, because page 1's where they make their money. Get off page 1, go look at page 2 and page 3, see what content is surfacing, and then how can you offer that same value to the world? Maybe it's a blog post, maybe it's a page on your website, maybe it's a course you can offer, maybe it's a workshop that you can provide, maybe it's a post that you can create on your new channel, maybe it's a video that you share, maybe it's going live on Facebook and answering questions about it. Those possibilities are endless, but don't let yourself get stuck in the lack of content or the lack of direction or the analysis paralysis.
Well, and I would play with the search features as well. I'm going to go back to YouTube, because it seems like every gun guy or gal that we talk to, they're very familiar with operating YouTube, but they may not search, most viewed, and then more importantly, or not more importantly, but also you can adjust the time frame. You could adjust it for the past year or the past 30 days, and that's going to filter the results even further and allow you to figure out what's some of the new stuff that's really drawing a lot of individuals over. Why would I want to know what the new upcoming stuff is? Because the guy down the road from me might not be covering it.
Yeah, that's a great transition to another point I wanted to hit too, and that is trending data or trending information. So you have to think about different ways to exploit the virility, or how viral something is, and how much attention it's getting, because all of these companies, all these platforms, for the most part, they're all competing for your attention. That's what they're in the business of. They want your attention. They need your attention, because that's how they're going to make money. So leverage that against them. What are they currently serving up to the world that's getting the most attention? And one of the best ways to do that is by searching hashtags. I may have lost 3/4 of the audience by even using the word hashtag. So it's the $, and essentially that is it's the marker or the indicator that ties together. It's like tagging or keywords back in the day, right? So it ties together content. In other words, it could be a picture of a whale, and the computer doesn't know that it's a picture of the whale, but the hashtag whale below the picture identifies that content as being something to do with a whale. Even if it was a picture of a wolf instead, it might think it's going to come back, in a trend for whales, for example. So, one of the things that we most commonly see, because of how wonderful our society is these days, but the political posts and comments and hashtags generally start to, become some of the more topical of the 36-hour news cycle, maybe. So borrow a couple of hashtags that happen to be trending with the millions and millions of views to snag some of that audience.
It's also a cool way to do some recon, so you can actually click on the hashtags also. So like in Instagram especially, or even on Facebook, if somebody throws in hashtag, Pew Pew Life or something like that, PEW, that's a big thing right now. Click on it, and it's going to bring up a whole bunch of content.
Everything else that's tagged with the same hashtag.
And so it's going to be a way for you to do some further recon. Nobody said this was going to be easy. I mean, this is business. This is how you jump out in front of everybody. Everybody has homework, so this is your homework. Do some recon and put in the work, and then you're going to reap the results in the end. It's not going to be overnight. It's not going to happen this week. It's not going to happen next week. But over the next couple of years, you're going to be the guy that's, that everyone else is trying to reverse engineer.
Yeah, and the other thing I guess I would say too is don't ever be afraid to give away your most valuable content. And what I would mean by that is if, for example, you were on Instagram, let's stay in that realm for a second, and you happen to have a hashtag that's trending, whether it's Pew Pew Life or something else, right? And you also have your business hashtagged and everything else is done. We're not going to go down that road, but don't sell the content short. Because on Instagram specifically, the image is one thing to capture attention, but the value is provided or given in the caption. And so, don't be afraid to say some of your best things or the things that most students identify with when you're talking to them face to face. I mean, give that content and that value away because whoever reads it may then forever associate that particular hashtag with that profound statement that you made in the future, and they'll think of you. And two, you may just end up picking up, a message that ultimately creates a massive wave or a trending hashtag as well. So all of it will come back to you, I guess, is my main point.
Well, I think that's perfect because what we're trying to do here, and I'll use that buzzword, is tribe. Is we're trying to create a tribe of, you guys. Our listeners are a tribe of people who are not settling for drifting in this space. They want to be the best at what they do, and so they're putting in the work. And we're giving you a lot of great bullet points and, solutions to become better and bigger and more successful than your competition. So, don't be afraid to, like Jeff said, to give up some of your information. Because in the end, the guys listening to this, the guys and girls who listen to us and who execute are always going to be the leaders because that's what separates winners from losers is execution. Yeah, anybody 100%. Can be sitting in their basement dreaming up of, oh man, I should be a firearms instructor. Guns are cool. I love guns. Or I should sell guns. That would be awesome. I'd be so happy. Well, yeah, you and the millions of others who have tried and failed. So,
or thought about it and never gotten off the couch.
Yeah, obviously, if you're here listening to us, more than likely you're already an instructor, which means you're already ahead of the millions of people who have just thought it would be really cool to do it. So now you're in an elite little class of people who have pulled the trigger. So now you got to step up your game and get ahead of all those other people.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Bill hit on it and I'll hit on it again. We have it written up on the wall in our offices that, there's no such thing as $1 million idea. There's only $1 million execution. And that's because what separates success from failure is executing and continuing to execute when you failed to begin with. We've talked about that over and over and over again about failing forward, learning, evolving, adapting, and trying again. I'm not going to go down that road again, but the key or the point that I want to drive home is you shouldn't be concerned or worried about giving away your most valuable content because, again, the thing that separates you from everyone else is the ability to execute it. So if it's valuable and someone can take value from consuming it, put it out there, period. Because the competitor, the people you think you're trying to, hover from and protect from, it just doesn't matter. Because odds are 99% of them aren't going to do a damn thing about it anyways.
Yeah, and we've tried to do business with some local people before and just help them out. And they were so reserved to give away their secrets. And it's like, dude, if I wanted to know what you're teaching, I would register for your class and come to your course. And I would just take notes. But, right. I'm not trying to steal your information. I'm just trying to work with you here.
Right. This research could cost me $150 and 8 hours in your seat. Or you could just help us help you and we'll get you there.
Yeah. All right, that puts us at 24 minutes. We've been doing pretty good these last two episodes of staying on time. So I don't have anything else. Yeah. Jeff, do you?
No, let's wrap it up. We'll hit some future topics here.
Okay, so one other thing, I plugged it on the last one. We need you guys to do some reviews for us on our podcast. We have like no participation, and we have a ton of people listening to this. So we can see how many people are listening to completion of our podcasts, and it's a very high number. And our reviews are like single digits. And I'm with you. I've never reviewed a single podcast before, and it's because it's a pain in the ass. So I said on our last podcast that we're going to be doing a competition, and 1 month from the last podcast's air date, we're going to be holding this competition. And what we need is we need people to review, like, follow, subscribe, and, just it helps our ranking. That's the bottom line. That's why I'm asking you guys to do this, is because it makes us more searchable in all of the algorithms that the podcast apps use. And so it helps us out.
Just like we talked about the Google, iTunes, Stitcher, Google, it's all the same. They want to make sure that they're giving people relevant content to what they want to listen to and what they want. And so the only thing we ever ask for, is not $1 from you or anything like that. We never ask for money or anything else. It's just freely giving the value. We practice what we preach. The only thing we ask is that you bring one friend to the podcast if you feel like they could get value from it, and that you review and like and share the podcast, again, if you find it useful.
And then the reward for that competition is we're going to draw 3 names from a hat, and it's going to be not a real hat, but we're going to digitally draw the names, and we're going to give those individuals a free consultation. So we'll do a phone call, Skype call, whatever you want, and we will discuss your business and how we can take it to the next level for free. And that's something that's not usually cheap, I'm not going to lie. So that is the value that you're going to get for spending about 3 to 4 minutes of your time plugging us, and we would really appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot. Catch you later. To find out more, you can find us on Facebook at Flashbang Creative, or you can visit us on our website at flashbangcreative.us.